you ready? The champ is here! It's just a man! Give me a hell yeah! What the Rock is cooking? To be the man, you have to be the man! Big Papa Pump! If you hooked up! Falling! Holla! At the end of it! Woo, woo, woo! Woo! Cup of coffee in the big day.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And let me tell you something. Before we start the show, I have something to say. And honestly, like, I'm afraid to say it because of how true it is. But I'm home. I'm home. And so's Dee. And so's Macho. And we're back. The trifecta of Working the Marks. Bringing you this week's episode of Working the Marks. The guy on, I guess he's on my left, your right, is Macho Rodrigez, the Robert Pattinson mark, which, by the way, amazing movie, The Batman.
Ooh,
amazing movie.
Yup.
And the guy on the bottom,
fantastic.
usually where he belongs, is Dee Rotten, the podcast king. And I am Daddy Rican, and I hate Walmart. And I fucking
Acknowledge me.
Guys, how are we doing today?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good.
Nice.
Very excited to talk about wrestling here. I love the fact that we are now in a place here in 2023 where we can talk about D being a bottom and be okay with it. I love that. I think that is phenomenal. We are missing our Sammy Sosa. He is not here today, but we'll rock on without you, Papa. Don't worry about it.
He's with us in our hearts.
Yes.
He is. He's certainly with us in our hearts. Mach, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you home?
Estoy en casa, sí.
D, are you home?
Yeah, I live right at Lucky 13, bro. I'm always home, man.
I'm home. I'm home.
I like it.
I'm home. So now that we're all home and now that we've established that we're home, let's start the show. We got a little bit of news for you, folks. A little bit of news coming by way of the Dirty Dutchman, Dutch Mantel. Apparently, Dutch Mantel has been hospitalized with illness. He took to Facebook to post an update as to what's going on with his health condition. He said, guys, here's for those who've been looking for me. Let me catch everybody up in a nutshell. I've been very sick. There are packages missing and parcels that I've misplaced. But guys, I'll make it good. Just give me time. I'm praying every day for everybody's safety. For me personally, I've been admitted to a hospital here in Lutz, where I'll be for a while. I request everybody honor my family's respect. I request everybody honor my family's respect to have our private thoughts. I will respond to all of you privately, and thank you for your patience. My daughter Amanda has been with me, helping me. So guys, obviously on behalf of everybody here at Working the Marks, we are sending a speedy recovery to the Dirty Dutchman, Dutch Mantel. And we certainly hope that he's back on his feet in no time. Guys. Oh my God.
Let it rain.
That was amazing. That was actually amazing. I happened here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I don't know. Hold on a second. I got a little audio issue here. There we go. Okay, now
we can hear you, Papa. It's all good.
That's fucking hilarious, by the way. Shout out to who was that guy? What was that guy's name? Gabriel Vallejo. Fantastic, Gabriel Vallejo. Amazing line. Wonderful line. Some people say it's wonderful. So obviously the Dirty Dutchman's hospitalized. We're wishing him all the best here from Working the Marks. Mach, what are you thinking about this news here? Give us your thoughts.
Well, I mean, I've never really, I don't want to come on here and pretend to be like a massive fan of Dutch here, but I did appreciate his contributions in WWE, being a big fan of Alberto Del Rio in professional wrestling, not his personal life, and seeing that he was able to come back and pretty much put him out there. I enjoyed his run with Swagger. I think it was Swagger's best run. So, I mean, I hopefully he just, recovers fast and comes back, because God damn, that guy can get people to boo him, and wrestling needs people like him.
Yeah, he's definitely been doing a lot of great stuff with his podcast. He's been producing a lot of good content there as well. And again, one of the more intelligent minds in the business, and somebody that a lot of you people, a lot of you greenhorns out there, anybody that's listening, anybody that's in the business, you can learn from him. He could certainly teach you a thing or two. D, how you feeling about the Dirty Dutch Man being in
I love his podcast. I listen to it every day at work. I enjoy hearing.
Like twin brothers, that's why.
Of course, if I had a little twirl like him, bro, I'd be right there with him. But I mean, yeah, I saw a clip of the guy who hosts his podcast with him. I saw a clip of him. He was in New York City yesterday, and he was talking about how Dutch is doing okay and blah blah blah. So I mean, yeah, I hope he pulls through, man. I really like the Dirty Dutch Man, bro. He's a real cool guy, and he's got more stories to friggin' tell.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So apparently, AEW Collision has gotten a little bit of a rating spike. I know it's a little hard to believe for everybody that's out there. Traditionally, Collision is, in my opinion, actually the better wrestling show, I would say, out of the two AEW shows consistently. It features a little bit more of a wrestling-centric type base. It was initially supposed to be CM Punk's show, but we all know how that ended up working out. But the latest episode of AEW Collision, which aired on December 2nd, 2023, garnered a total of 451,000 viewers, making a notable increase from the previous week's episode, which had 317,000 viewers. The surge in viewership reflects the show's growing popularity and engagement with wrestling fans. Additionally, AEW Collision achieved a 0.14 rating in the coveted 18 to 49 demographic, showing an improvement from the previous week's rating of 0.09. These numbers demonstrate that AEW's Collision series continues to draw attention and captivate a dedicated audience. Pretty shocking, I mean, in my opinion. Mach, what are you thinking about this spike in the ratings here for AEW Collision?
Well, you touched on it before the show started. I think Bryan Danielson has a lot to do with it. But I think it goes further than that. If you look at Bryan Danielson versus Eddie Kingston, we're not talking about the match. We're talking about the lead up to the match. For 3 straight weeks, we knew Bryan was working Eddie Kingston. We got promo packages. We had a look back at their first match in AEW. There was a story that led to that match that we saw last Saturday. I know you guys don't share my opinion of this. I love that match. I thought that match was phenomenal. I thought it was hard-hitting, very technical, being a fan of both guys. But when I look at that, AEW has this thing that they like to do where they just like to throw shit at the wall, go to work one day and pull 2 fucking names out of a bingo bin and be like, hey, these 2 are going to work each other with absolutely zero story.
Right.
So we got a story. There was a reason for people to watch. People were invested. And if we're going to be honest, like, people wanted to see how Bryan was going to work with this injury. So that's why. So I believe Bryan Danielson in threefold had a massive amount to do with the spike.
How are you feeling about the Continental Classic? Because a lot of people feel like it's, Tony Kanoki's attempt to kind of give Bryan Danielson a stateside version of the G1 class, the G1 Climax.
I mean, it's been underwhelming. And I got to tell you, this show is called Working the Marks, and I'm going to be a mark for a hot second here. This show has been underwhelming to me because AEW has continuously made Mark Briscoe look like a fucking jobber. This dude has won 0 matches. The fact that, like, the way Tony Khan treats outsiders, and when I say outsiders, I mean New Japan or Ring of Honor, the way he treats their talent, it's almost like he thinks he's this superior guy, and Ring of Honor and New Japan, they just come into job to his guys. And it's frustrating because I feel like Mark Briscoe, I thought we were going to get like a massive push for him. I thought he was going to keep going up. We're not getting that. Although, I mean, the world is being able to see Andrade, and Andrade's phenomenal. So, thank God for that.
Yeah, I think the Lana pairing has really helped them out a lot. Obviously, we know talking's not really his strong point. But the guy can bring it in the ring. He's always had a great physique. He can always get in there and mix it up with just about anybody. Getting back to the Continental Classic, I kind of just feel like it's a little bit of a convoluted tournament format for an American audience. Japan, they have that tradition of the G1 Climax, the format of the G1 Climax, and kind of they're used to it, you know, and it's something that they look forward to. I think something a little bit similar to like maybe the King of the Ring or a Super 8 or something like that, or a J-Cup would have been a little bit easier for fans to grasp instead of kind of the G1 thing. And again, it's kind of an example of Tony kind of, you know, painting himself into a corner, just kind of catering to one specific type of fan. D, have you been checking out any of the Continental Classic at all? Does any of it appeal to you, or do you feel like the format's a little convoluted as well? Do you know what convoluted means?
I think he's frozen.
You can Google it real quick and just pretend.
No, dude, I don't care what the fuck they do, bro. He could be the fucking 2022 fucking Booker of the Year, 2023 Booker of the Year, whatever. Dude.
You're not feeling it, huh?
No. Not feeling anything they do, bro. Just fucking just because like you could tell there's like just the backstage fucking people just ruined it for me, bro.
Do you think that the bloom kind of fell off the rose for you with AEW, and when specifically did you really like lose interest in AEW?
I mean, even before the Punk shit, bro. I mean, I would have to fucking say, man. When Mark Briscoe died, I was like, I'm done.
Jay Briscoe, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jay Briscoe died. I'm done, dude. Done.
Yeah.
Well, if I could just, I'm so glad you brought up backstage, D. If I could just say this real quick, because I'd love to hear what Pat has to think about it. Pat, I'm not trying to take over the show. I just really
no. Come on now.
So Jade Cargill was asked about WWE today, and she had this to say: "I've never been a part of something so professional."
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
So
that line speaks volumes.
I thought that you'd be able to run with that. So why don't you give us your opinion on what she says there?
Well, I mean, again, it's and for everybody that's wondering out there, my nose is a little dry. I'm not doing coke on here. All right.
Snowman?
Nah, just show them your pinkies.
Look, no pinky rings. All right.
Yeah, no pinkies.
And I'll throw up a little word life, but I mean, look, you know, it's AEW to me seems like it's just like indies with a national TV deal. And to your point, what you were saying, you know, he's kind of just throwing shit to a wall and seeing what sticks. You can't really do that, man. You can't. You have to have some kind of format. You know, even the smallest indies, you go down to any Tom, Dick, and Jane local indie around here, you're going to find some kind of semblance of format, some type of structure. To me, it seems like they string a lot of stuff together. And look, I understand sometimes things happen. You know, maybe some people don't want to work together. There's injuries. There's stuff like that. You got to call audibles. You got to be there at the line. Omaha. And you got to put some fucking audibles together. I understand that completely. But what she's saying really, really, really speaks volumes about what's going on backstage with AEW and how they put their shows together, how they're structured as a company. Mm-hmm. I've been saying it for a really, really long time. I got a lot of hatred for it, a lot of flack for, you're this, you're that, you don't like AEW, you're Dan Lambert and all this other stuff. I used to hear it from everybody. Structure is needed in AEW. You have to have some kind of pecking order. You have to have some semblance of structure there, especially with the kind of talent that they have. You know what I mean? Jade Cargill, to me, should have been their fucking franchise. She should have been their big star. And she was at one point. But I don't think they managed it well enough to keep her. And obviously, she's starting to see the difference in WWE and AEW, and particularly, I would say, even the micromanagement, the little things, you know, going in there, piecing matches together, saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe, you know, hold back on that. Maybe save that for some other time. You know what I'm saying? Pacing, time, place, just everything, all those little details that you kind of need to have put together. You know, she's getting all that knowledge and all that information in WWE. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised whatsoever that she made a comment like that. But to me, I just think it's speaking volumes about some of the issues in AEW. Getting back to something you had mentioned before, Mark Briscoe, right? So obviously with the tragic passing of Jay Briscoe, you would assume, right? You would assume that Tony Khan would have gone with the hot hand and would have put the Ring of Honor title on Mark Briscoe. And everybody wanted it. And he had the match, I think, with Claudio and everything. I mean, they were gearing towards it and everything. And then he loses and you job the guy out. And to me, I just feel like you're doing this guy a disservice. You have a guaranteed babyface there. It's a touching moment. It's a great moment for wrestling fans. It's a great moment for fans of the Briscoes. a team that, in my opinion, deserves all the recognition. You know what I mean? All the recognition that they're getting now, and whether they were, even when Jay was alive, they should have been getting that recognition. But it's a classic example of him not playing the hot hand and just wanting to do something else that a small group of people care about. You know what I'm saying? That's a story that could have garnered a lot of national attention. That's something that people could have rallied behind, and it's something that they could have used to help make Mark Briscoe a big star. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's another classic example of him fumbling things. But I mean, getting back to the Bryan Danielson thing, he's a guy obviously that brings fans. People want to see, to your point, him working with the injury. We saw him. It kind of looked like he had a tanga on his face, like with the, with the thing covering up his eye and all that stuff. The match, I thought was good. For me, I kind of lost a loving feeling for Eddie Kingston. I still think he's a great promo. I respect the hell out of him. But I just feel like they could do more with him. I feel like he could do more with himself. And, again, man, I mean, I tune in for Bryan Danielson, if I'm being 100% honest. I'll watch AEW for Bryan Danielson. Outside of that, I'm really not digging it too much. Swerve Strickland, I'm feeling. I'm a little disappointed, I got to say, with what happened with Swerve recently. Talking to these internet fans and stuff like that, going back at him on Twitter. I mean, like, you shouldn't do that, man. In my opinion, I don't think he should be doing that. I think he's above that. I think that he's a guy who should be focusing on himself, and he shouldn't listen to these stupid marks, okay? As we are literally doing this fucking show. But it's like, don't listen to what these marks have to say. You're a fucking future star. You're a current star right now. The ceiling is high for him, and I just feel like doing little things like that isn't necessarily a good thing for people to be doing, especially wrestlers, and especially if you want to be taken seriously.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I watched the show specifically for Bryan, Swerve, and Paige. I think those are my three, people that I want to watch the show for. I want to know what Hangman's going to do. I want to know what Swerve is going to do. And I want to know, who Bryan's going to work that week. If I could throw a fourth person in there, it probably would be Andrade, just because I really enjoy his in-ring work. But they have
what do you like specifically about Adam Page, by the way? Because he's a guy, to me, again, I think he has a lot of talent, but he's another one to me that kind of I think he fell by the wayside. But what are you enjoying about Adam Page's work right now?
What I like about Adam Page is his ability to talk. We've never been able to get this side of him. He's able to go out there. He's able to connect with the crowd. He has this aura about him where it seems like the crowd just rallies behind him. I do enjoy his in-ring work. I do enjoy that he's not that indie-rific Adam Page that we saw in the Bullet Club. He's not doing outlandish off-the-top rope moves. He's actually working. He's keeping his feet to the ground. He's going to last in the business. I also love the fact that he has no issue keeping his mouth shut with all the backstage politics. I also enjoy the fact that whoever he works in the ring, he's going to make them look like $1 million. That is a big deal for me, because it's not just about yourself. You're helping the person that you're in the ring with. That's something that you and I personally love about Bryan Danielson. Whoever Bryan works looks amazing. This guy made Mini Miz, also known as MJF, look like one of the best wrestlers ever. And that guy's the Brutus the Barber Beefcake of this era. He's not that great, but Bryan made him look amazing. You know what I'm saying? And then that's how I feel about Hangman Adam Page. I think he's one of the top guys in the biz, all around biz. I think he's that good in the ring. When I watch him, he doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. I wish his finisher, I just don't think it's sustainable. It's kind of how I feel about Grayson Waller's finisher. It's not sustainable. The older they get, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. So
it's the buckshot lariat, right? Or the Deadeye?
Yeah, that's the one. No, the Deadeye I think is dope.
I'm not a fan. I feel like it looks very phony. You never see the head hit the ground. I don't know. But that, again, that's just me. But I get what you're saying. Shout out to my bro, okay, and fellow child actor Mad Dr. Kick here. Just let a proper booker book for AEW. He's 100% right. New Japan, you got a guy like Gato who's booking there and who's really just putting together fantastic stuff. And a lot of these guys came from New Japan, where they were big standouts and they were producing a lot of fantastic work there. But getting back to Adam Page, I get it, and I see what you're talking about. As far as him and in his mouth, he's definitely cutting a lot of good promos. I would like to see him keep his mouth shut when blood's pouring into his mouth. I wasn't really a fan of that. I was not a fan of the blood spot whatsoever. I thought that was kind of gross. I mean, I get it. You know, you're popping a certain segment of the audience that digs that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I just think it was unnecessary. But again, that's me. No,
I agree.
I mean,
not a great moment.
No, it wasn't. I thought it was kind of crummy, and I just thought it was a little unnecessary, and I thought it was incredibly gross. I think it alienates the female demographic too, you know. And look, let's be honest. I think there's girls out there that would dig him. There's girls out there that would dig Swerve. You know, you got to capitalize on that. You got to draw all types of people, man. You can't just keep consistently drawing all these same booger eating marks. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, I think that's a big problem with them. Joey Leonardo here. Let's see. What do we got from Joey Leonardo? Problem with AEW is that there's too many people making others look amazing instead of looking amazing themselves. There are no real stars there. Just my opinion. Punk was right about everything, and it struck a nerve in the locker room. Mach, D, how do you feel about that comment?
Well, they have stars there. The problem is they have too many fucking stars, and they also don't know when to utilize these stars.
Who's a star?
Like, let's talk about the fact that tomorrow night we're getting Edge versus Christian on free television. For the what the fuck?
Yeah,
that should main event your next pay-per-view. That is a massive what?
I can agree with you on Christian, bro, but Edge is really not moving the needle at all. So,
no, I agree with you. I agree. I don't think that Adam Copeland is moving the needle at all. I think that promo comes to mind that Triple H cut a while back, even though I know it was a marquee promo. Yeah. He says it like, yeah, you didn't sell a dime, pal. That's kind of how I feel about him. It's kind of true. I mean, look, he has the opportunity right now, and he's not able to do it. I mean, it kind of makes me sad that that's where Will Ospreay chose to go. Now, if Will thinks that he's going to be that guy to bring them up to the top, sure. But
he's a mid-carder at best, dog.
I think it just needs to be more than wrestling. I think you have to have wrestling and you have to have good character work. And getting back to Adam Copeland, I mean, he's a guy there. He's a guy that's just there really to help elevate a lot of the talent. If he moves the needle, great. If he doesn't, great. I mean, either way, he's there to help make guys. Christian, obviously, Father of the Year, by the way, is doing a fantastic job. I mean, this is probably the best character work we've ever seen out of him. And this is a guy who's not killing himself. And he's still putting on great fucking matches. And you know him and Edge are going to beat the shit out of each other. It's going to be a snug match. I think this has potential to be better than their WWE stuff. Their WWE stuff, to me, whenever they faced each other, was a little lackluster, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So I think that these guys are definitely going to have a really solid match tomorrow night. Can we bring back up that last comment from Mad Dr. Kick there? He said they job out all the New Japan guys to their talent and nobody gets over in the process. Yeah, that's 100% true. They do. I mean, you know, the only guy, yeah, definitely beats the Captain Charisma gimmick. The only guy really that I think got a win over their guy was Sonata when he took on Jack Perry, you know, at Forbidden Door. I think he might be the only guy that might have gotten a win. I mean, look, Okada Danielson, I think, is a different thing because obviously you want to squeeze as much as you can out of those two. You'd like to try and do some 50-50 book in there, you know, especially while you have Danielson, you know, in that company. Especially while you have Okada working in New Japan too, because there are rumors that Okada will be leaving New Japan in 2024. So I mean, you want to give the fans something interesting there, and I don't see a problem with Okada losing to Danielson here and then going to Japan and perhaps Danielson returning the favor there.
Agreed.
But he hasn't done anything to help New Japan. He hasn't done anything to help Impact. He hasn't done anything to help any of the indie guys, really. You know, I don't know, man. It's definitely underwhelming in that process. So, you know, we'll see. Okada needs to win at Wrestle Kingdom. I agree. He does need to win at Wrestle Kingdom. I would like to see them go to a trilogy. I think it would be fantastic. And whether Danielson wins or Okada wins, either way, this is probably going to be some of the best wrestling that we're going to see, you know? So, but I do think, on a side note, for that Wrestle Kingdom match, I do think that Naito needs to close out Wrestle Kingdom, in my opinion. I do. I think Naito, and I think the IWGP title match with him and Sonata, I think it needs to close out Wrestle Kingdom. Whether they choose to do that remains to be seen. I know that they're putting it up to a fan vote, but I do feel like Naito deserves his credit. He deserves his moment. I mean, this is a guy who's definitely been one of the best wrestlers in the world, and you know, he deserves it. He certainly deserves it. I mean,
Agreed.
Danielson Okada, great star power. You can make that a pre-main event, but you know, Naito deserves it 100%. Moving along, Nia Jax. We got some Nia Jax news. So Nia Jax has apparently been losing a lot of weight. I know it's been, you know, a lot of people out there that criticize her, that might have stuff to say about her physique, her work, or whatever, stuff like that. I was watching Raw Monday night, and I noticed last night, and I noticed that she did look a little bit slimmer. I threw it in our chat. I was laughed at a little bit by some person who's not here, and I my whole so, you know, I had noticed that, you know, her stomach looks smaller, and I was just like, you know, she looks thinner. And I did a little bit of research, if you will, not the tinfoil hat research, but I did some research, and I stumbled across some stuff, and particularly one interview that Nia had, and Nia had explained that some time ago she revealed some stuff about her weight loss, and she spoke about her encouraging weight loss journey on social media some time back. At her friend and WWE superstar Charlotte Flair's wedding, she claimed that she felt uncomfortable about herself and wanted to lose weight. The Queen decided to help her, and the results speak for themselves. She's lost about 50 pounds since she's returned to WWE. That's impressive, man. And I'm honestly not surprised, because you got a guy like Gunther, who, I mean, we all saw the way he looked and the transformation that he made and how he looks. You know, we've seen a lot of other people in the company that have changed their physique over time, that have become, you know, stronger, leaner, better athletes. Nia Jax, in my opinion, doesn't really lose anything by losing any type of weight whatsoever. She's still tall. She's still, you know, an intimidating figure in the women's division. I mean, I think this is absolutely a plus. Mach, give me your thoughts on this.
I mean, I love it. I think it's great. It's one of those things where it's her taking her career into her own hands. I mean, she's doing what she needs to do. I doubt anybody in WWE told her to do this. I think she's doing this for herself. And honestly, I don't know if it's the 50 pounds. I don't know what it is, but it feels like this run that she's on in WWE is pretty successful. She's had some decent to good matches recently. She seems like she has this extra aura of confidence when she talks. Doesn't feel like she's reading a promo. Like, I know back in the day I used to complain about this with Naomi. It always felt like Naomi was out there like reading the promo out loud to you, and that was a big deal for me. That's why I was never a fan of Naomi on the mic. I enjoyed her in ring work, but not on the mic. And when I'm watching Nia, it just feels natural. It looks different, and good on her, man, to reach out to Charlotte. Good on her to do this for her career. This is gonna give her longevity, and I think it's being, you know, now she's being given the opportunity to work Becky. They started that program yesterday, so like, let's go. That's a great thing, man. Good for her. I applaud her. And you know, any asshole that has to say anything about her weight in a negative, you know, I mean, sometimes that's just people that can't grow hair, and they're just, you know, that's the way they are. So, you know, they're just, they have issues like that. So they're like, hey, man, what can I do? Like, you know, I'm jealous. They're jealous of her because she's
Speaking
successful.
of hair, we got that guy down there, that quiet man with that Art Garfunkel hair that he can grow. How you feeling about Nia Jax's weight loss?
I got 4 words for you, bro.
What?
Yum yum gumdrop.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect
you know,
summation.
I think Nia is very unique in the women's division, because she's like one of those women that gets legitimate heat with the audience. I mean, all the marks hate her. They all think she can't wrestle. They all think she can't work. Oh, she purposely injured this one. She purposely did this. Hey, man, she did break Becky's nose, and it also created one of the most iconic wrestling moments that we've had in a very, very long time. Okay. And that image of Becky bleeding with that smile, that was a big part of what created the man character and catapulted Becky to that WrestleMania main event. So, I mean, I like Nia because she brings that. Is she the best in-ring worker? Maybe not, but she doesn't really need to be. She has something that a lot of other women in that division don't have. She has legitimate heat. People do not like her. And that's something that you really need to capitalize on. And I think Triple H sees that. And, you know, again, credit to her, man. She's taking it seriously. She's losing weight. That's fantastic, man. And I think she's only going to be more of an asset as time goes on because of that.
Daddy Regan.
Yes.
Yum yum gumdrop.
Yum yum gumdrop. Okay, you need to trademark that and make that a t-shirt. Moving along, Ken Shamrock signs a deal with WWE. Now I had seen that news earlier today, and I thought it might have been a rib. I thought it might have been something that you know, maybe was put out there, because obviously there's a lot of phony baloney stuff that gets put out there in the dirt sheets. But upon further review, I did in fact find out that Ken Shamrock has in fact signed a WWE deal. Ken Shamrock is once again working with WWE, this time with the company selling his merchandise. Aside from his legendary MMA career in the UFC, he found a lot of success in WWE and TNA. In WWE, he was the former Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion, also won the King of the Ring in 1998. While in TNA, he held the NWA World Heavyweight title, the same title that Scrap Iron Adam Pearce held. And Shamrock worked for the WWE from 1997 to 1999 and stints in TNA in 2002 and 2004. This has also made a lot of people speculate that maybe Ken Shamrock might be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for this upcoming WrestleMania. What did you guys think when you saw that Ken Shamrock signed a deal with WWE again?
I thought it was a rib as well. I thought it was just somebody just throwing something out there on Twitter to just get everybody going. So the fact that you wanted to put it on the show, I looked it up. I thought, I was like, wow, this is great. We met him in McDonald's with Al Snow and Mick Foley, I believe it was, right?
Yeah. That's right. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great to us when we were kids. Real nice guy. And yeah, I mean, I remember being a fan of his. I remember enjoying his matches with Shawn Michaels, his matches with The Rock, his matches with Steve Blackman. Steve Blackman can't work. He's a good fighter. Don't come find me because I live like 30 minutes from your house. But yeah, but you know, just not a great performer. And Shamrock was able to do a lot with him. I really enjoyed his feud with Owen Hart as well. I mean, he's a solid worker. Pissed me off that he never beat Tito Ortiz because I hated Tito Ortiz. But I'm enjoying the fact that like WWE is doing this. They're crushing the never say never. They're bringing back people, and even if it's just for a Hall of Fame stint, they're bringing in people, bringing back people that they can kind of, you know, they're not forgetting the legacy.
I feel like this also kind of ties into the relationship with Endeavor and with TKO as a whole. And obviously, I feel like, you know, for the merchandising purposes, you know, you can sell a lot of stuff with Ken Shamrock. Again, you can induct him in the Hall of Fame. Ken Shamrock, to me, is a pioneer, man. I mean, he was the first guy to really take the leap from the MMA world into pro wrestling. He was the first guy that was just like, you know, fuck it, I'm going to jump in, I'm going to do my thing. And he made a lot of money. You know, I thought he had a great match with Shawn Michaels. Obviously, you know, it's 1997 Shawn Michaels, peak Shawn Michaels, in my opinion. I mean, you know, he could have wrestled the broomstick at that point and had a great match, but Ken really held his own in there. I'm a little disappointed we never really got to see a big feud like between him and Brett. You know, maybe like a nice little blood feud that they could have had or something. You know, I mean, I know that he was a special guest referee in the WrestleMania 13 match. It did get a little physical there, but it would have been a little bit cool to see those two mix it up. But Ken Shamrock is certainly a guy that, like, I think really paved the way for a lot of these MMA guys coming over and people even considering it, maybe even, you know, taking it a little bit more seriously. So good to see that the world's most dangerous man is back in WWE. So there's a little bit of controversy with the Nature Boy. Yeah, that's right, folks. The Nature Boy. As per Wrestling Inc., Ric Flair's AEW contract has already divided opinion within the pro wrestling community, and his latest incident will only ramp up the concerns of many fans regarding the legendary 16-time world champion. After making his debut last month alongside his longtime friend Sting, the 74-year-old has made sporadic appearances alongside the icon, who is set to retire at next year's Revolution. Last Wednesday, Ric Flair appeared on AEW Dynamite in a backstage segment along with Sting and Tony Schiavone, where they announced the date and location for Revolution. but it was a part of the Rampage tapings later on in the night where trouble arose. It was then that Flair would cut a lengthy in-ring promo, which involved an invitation to all the 18 to 28-year-old single women in attendance to meet him in his hotel room. Now, while the line was expected to be cut from the broadcast prior to Friday night's episode, which it was, it hasn't stopped many people on social media from condemning the remarks, given Flair's history of sexual harassment allegations. In response to his own social media account, Flair would take aim at the critics and offered to walk away from AEW if needed. He said, and I quote, "I'm so tired of hearing all this negativity. Can't I simply enjoy being by my dear friend Sting's side for the next few months without so much hatred? I know I'm old, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy life," he said. "I've earned the right to do whatever I want, and I'm exactly where I want to be. I appreciate everything Tony Khan. I appreciate everything Tony Khan has done, and I'm more than willing to walk away if I'm embarrassing you and your company." Flair signed a multi-year agreement with AEW after his initial debut in late October, which entails on-screen appearances and the company promoting his energy drink, Woo Energy. At this time, there are no plans for Flair to wrestle in AEW after the Hall of Famer had his last match in 2022. Guys, what are you thinking about Ric Flair's promo, and how you feeling about it? How you feeling about it? Because I got some thoughts, but I want to hear what you guys got to say.
I think he's got to read the room. Like, I know it's Ric Flair, and I get it, but you have to read the room. You have to know it's just not the same anymore. You can't cut promos like that anymore. This is what's going to happen. People latch on. They're going to find ways to hate you. This company already is very controversial. It's very polarizing. I mean, there's reports all the time that people are unhappy. They're happy that you have, just so many different things come out about it. And I don't think he needs to add to it. I mean, he's there with his son-in-law, and I'm sure, he's got a great rapport with Sting, but Sting is looked at as one of, pretty much like their version of The Undertaker, he's like the top guy in the back, and I don't know. When I look at it, I just kind of feel sorry for him.
Interesting. D, how did you feel about the Flair promo?
I'm actually agreeing with it, bro. Fucking, he needs to learn how to read the room. It's a different fucking world. Like I said, he should have said 30 to fucking 50, instead of going 18 to fucking, to whatever 30. It's like, dude, it's not fucking 1985. It's 2023. It's about to be 2024. He could have came up with something better, man. He could have came up with something better, but I mean, what do you expect? It's Ric Flair, man. Come on, it's...
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an issue with him being involved in wrestling, him being on TV. I mean, and look, at the end of the day, it's fucking Ric Flair. Who's gonna tell Ric Flair to fucking do anything? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the most influential wrestlers, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. What I don't like is him kind of being portrayed as this like Mae Young-esque type of character. I think that's you're doing a disservice to Ric Flair by doing something like that. And I feel that, having him come out with Sting, that's fine. You want to have somebody beat him up or something like that, that's fine. Him throwing chops, doing all this stuff, man, I personally don't think it's necessary. But again, who's going to tell Ric Flair fucking don't do it? You know what I'm saying? I think maybe, using Ric Flair to, having Christian Lowe blow him or do something like that. And getting some sympathy maybe from the audience, to kind of make Christian or whoever they're working with a little bit more of a heel. I think that would work and that would be more effective. But him going out there chopping people, stuff like that, I mean, I don't think it helps. As far as the promo is concerned, yeah, I'm with you, man. Read the room. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look, Shawn Michaels stopped being a fucking sexy boy after a while. You know what I'm saying? His hair went away and he stopped being the sexy boy. He stopped doing the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? After a while, the shtick kind of does have to kind of die out, and especially once you get older. But I mean, look, I like that he's still able to make a living off his name. I understand that it's hard for some people to walk away. There's nothing like walking out through a curtain. I mean, fuck, I used to wrestle in gyms and little bingo halls, and I'd walk out through that curtain and it felt like the greatest thing ever. I mean, that rush, You know, that thing you feel of being able to go out there and control a crowd and have them right here in the palm of your hand. That's something so powerful. And that's why so many of these guys just find it so hard to walk away from that. So I can't imagine walking out into an arena or a stadium and having that feeling. You know what I mean? Like that's just got to be the ultimate high. But for me personally, I feel like Ric Flair deserves a little bit more. And
his name.
Yeah, and I understand that, you know, AEW's crowd is a little bit different than WWE's crowd. I feel that perhaps some people might say they're a little more socially conscious. I don't want to say the word that gets thrown around too much, but you know, I think that, you know, they're not going to really buy into that as much, and I think that people don't really want to see an old man Ric Flair do that kind of thing nowadays. And again, I feel like it's a disservice to the greatness of the Nature Boy. It did ultimately get cut, the segment. I don't think he's going to end up leaving. I think they're going to have him work with Sting, but I do think that this is again another example of where structure is required, where a little bit of micromanagement, a little bit of agenting is required. You know, Shawn Michaels and Triple H didn't really want to do kind of stuff like this with Ric Flair. We remember right before Ric Flair left the WWE, he was in that pregnancy angle with Lacey Evans, you know, and they were doing that whole thing where he was sleeping with her and she might have had his baby and all this other stuff. I mean, and that was Vince McMahon, and I understand that that's a very Vince McMahon thing to do, you know, a la Al Wilson. You know, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a disservice to Ric Flair. Having him come out there, I think, is great. Having him corner Sting is fine. Hey, use him in a different way, in my opinion.
I heard Tony Khan quoted saying that he's not paying Ric Flair to be there. Woo Energy's paying them to have Ric Flair
there. So then how's Ric Flair making money off of this?
That's what
he signed to a contract. I just read in the report that he signed to a contract.
No, I understand. I'm just saying that's what I saw, a quote of Tony Khan saying that Woo Energy's paying
I don't know.
AEW.
I feel like that's a little bit of the baloney. A little bit of the baloney. You know, coming from the Snowman. Oh damn, I lost my effect. But yeah, it's a little bit of baloney coming from the Snowman. We had a comment there. Let's read that comment. Who is that from?
Which one?
Is that from Mad Dr. Kick? I can't see Rick putting on a decent match nowadays. Sucks, but let's be real. Absolutely. I mean, look, I think some of us watched Ric Flair's last match. And I'll be quite honest. Well, the one that was billed as Ric Flair's last match. I was sad. I was sad watching that, man. I was sad watching that. And at one point, Ric Flair even admitted that he passed out in that match. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, who's going to tell Ric Flair not to wrestle? Somebody has to do it. Shawn Michaels tried to. Triple H tried to. He told them to go fuck themselves, and that's probably why he's not working for WWE. That's probably why they weren't able to bring him back in some kind of capacity. But it's hard, man, and it's such a shame, you know? If Ric Flair doesn't stop, he's going to end up being like a real-life Ram Jam from Joey Leonardo. Joey, we agree with you 100%. It's sad. And to me, I think that the one thing that I do not want to see at all under any circumstance, and I don't give a fuck who it is, I don't want to see a legend die in the ring. I don't want to see a wrestler die in the ring. I know all of us have cheered these guys on for years. We've all been fans. We all obviously want to see one more match out of all our favorites. But we're not going to be changing their diapers when they're older if they can't move around. We're not going to be driving them to therapy. We're not going to be doing all this stuff for them. We're not going to be helping them and tending to them. Their families are going to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like it's a tad inconsiderate, perhaps, on people in AEW's part to let Rick go out there and do that. But again, who's going to fucking tell Ric Flair what to do, right?
Flair, the GOAT.
Who's going to tell Ric Flair what to do? We appreciate all the comments, by the way, folks, from all the viewers this evening. We love the interaction. I think didn't we have a question thing up, D? Did anybody hit that up, or did nobody pay attention to it?
I don't think anybody paid attention to it.
Yeah, I know we got no sold a little bit. That's all right. Yeah. That's all right. I feel like I've done enough no selling in my
the marks.
They're working the marks. I feel like I've done enough no selling in my life in order to have that happen. We don't need a Masao repeat. Yeah, I agree. Mad Dr. Kick with a great comment there. I mean, yeah, we do not need that. And then you have, Perro Aguayo too, also in Mexico, passed away in a wrestling ring. I don't think that we need to see that. I think, we need a different type of legacy for Ric Flair. That's all. We need a different memory of Ric Flair. The last memory I want to have of Ric Flair is not him dying in the ring. That's all I'm saying. But moving along, folks, I do have a huge announcement, and I will make my huge announcement at the end of the main event topic. But the main event topic today is a very interesting one. And it's obviously one that we kind of thought about. Now, initially, we were going to scrap this topic. I was thinking of doing the end of the year Marquee Awards. We've been trying to make that thing a thing for quite some time, and it obviously hasn't happened. But I feel like this is a little bit better. I feel like this is something that obviously will create some great discussion. And since we have some viewers tonight, feel free to chime in as well. But we're going to talk about what Working the Marks wants to see happen in wrestling for 2024. I'm going to start out with my tag partner here, Macho. Macho, what do you want to see happen, whether it's AEW, New Japan, Impact, AAA, indie wrestling, WWE, wherever it is? What do you want to see happen in wrestling in 2024?
I feel like WWE does a really great job, so I don't really feel like I have a lot to add there. I want AEW to fix its women's division. Okay. Maybe give us a actual women's division. I also want AEW to stop copying everything that WWE does. Give us some originality. I don't need to see the same thing. I don't need MJF to hold the title for 2 years because you're trying to match Roman Reigns. Like, if there is another superstar that's ready for that title, put the strap on that person. Give MJF a reason to chase. He's a babyface, so have him chase the championship. I also want more cohesiveness with all the brands. Like, I want to see more NWA, more TNA, more AEW. Like, let's see all of them work together. I'd like to see stuff like that. And the big one, I want to see Okada in WWE. Let's see
interesting. So obviously, we know that there are some issues in AEW, and I kind of feel like the bloom's fallen off the rose with AEW to some extent, even with its most hardcore fans. What specifically would you want to see Okada do in WWE?
I believe that he should come in just like AJ Styles did. Come in at the Rumble, stay on the main roster, start a feud with someone, whether it's Nakamura, whether it's CM Punk, whether it's Seth Rollins. Start a feud immediately with a big name that can introduce him to the fans, because not all of them know who he is. That's kind of what I would like to see. I also want to see him with like a mouthpiece. I would love to see him come in as a Paul Heyman guy. Like, I feel like Heyman just kind of like introducing him as like the next big thing. Mm-hmm. I think that would be great. He's in his late 30s. This is around the age that Triple H wants guys in the main roster to be. He's all about the 35 and above guys. He doesn't want that type of stuff. And I think he's perfect for WWE, especially his style. He's not, he's not an AEW guy.
Yeah. I feel like he's an incredibly talented guy, a legit athlete, a world-class Olympic level athlete. I feel like his transition to WWE would be easy. We had a couple of comments here as well. I think there was one pertaining to Nakamura as well. But Joey Leonardo, I think Tony Khan needs to step down and hire Jim Cornette as Booker. Problem solved. I mean, look, I'm not against that idea. I know Jim Cornette's a guy that divides a lot of opinion with people, but you can't deny the guy's knowledge. To some extent, I think he's maybe a little antiquated about certain things. The business has changed significantly since the last time he was working in it. But as far as it goes with storytelling, with presentation of certain characters, I feel like he's certainly one of the best guys out there. I know he was invited to come in and attend an AEW event by Jeff Jarrett. I know he declined that invitation. Whether that happened,
he didn't have anybody to go get the free ticket.
He didn't have anybody to go get the free ticket.
No.
Okay, well,
he didn't want to waste a ticket.
Maybe to me, it sounds like he didn't want to go. I think he didn't want to go. But he could certainly be a guy that could save AEW from their booking conundrum. We had another comment pop up there as well, D. Mad Dr. Kick with put him with someone he knows well, Nakamura. Yeah, I mean, look at Nakamura. Look at everything that has happened with him. And since Triple H has taken over, I think, especially in the last couple of months, particularly his feud with Rollins, You saw the presentation of Nakamura change completely. You know, he kind of stopped being the Freddie Mercury, Michael Jackson type of thing and just became a lot more ruthless. They started putting together vignettes of him training, doing his MMA training and stuff, you know, displaying the fact that this guy is a bad motherfucker. And just the presentation of the promos, you know, he's not there trying to speak English and stuff like that. He's speaking Japanese. They're presenting him as somebody who's very, very dangerous. The incorporation of the mist, I think he would be fantastic. I would love to see maybe him and Okada, you know, as some type of a stable, maybe even get a run with the tag titles. I feel like that would be a great way to introduce Okada. Paul Heyman, giving him a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman, I think would be fantastic. I think that would be awesome, you know, and
a male version of Damage Plan.
Damage Control, you mean?
Oh, Damage Control.
Yeah, Damage Plan was Diet Pantera. Joey Leonardo, we had a comment there from Joey Leonardo as well. I was being a little sarcastic with the Jim Cornette comic, but I do think that it's time that the owners of these companies stop being the bookers. I mean, again, you know, specifically Tony Khan. I mean, I can't speak too much about the NWA. Scott D'Amore, I think, is doing a fantastic job with Impact. You know, their women's division outside of WWE in Japan, probably two of the best women divisions out there. I mean, you know, you talk about the Joshis and Stardom. Those women are excellent, phenomenal wrestlers. Japan has always had a great history of producing fantastic women's wrestling.
Does
you know,
Billy have any help with NWA or just Billy?
I'm assuming that Billy did have a booking committee. I mean, I know Cornette worked with him until he made a controversial comment that got him canned. But I mean, Billy Corgan seems a lot more receptive to having people help him. I know Homicide Diarazo, he was over there. He was working with him, you know. And D, let me tell you something, man. I mean, I remember, you know, being at Jersey All Pro Wrestling training sessions with D, JCW shows with D. Anytime D talked, you know, the young wrestlers listened. You know, he was a guy that had a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and just mainly about little things to do while you're in the ring, selling, mannerisms, little things that really go a long way in telling a better story. You know, I think definitely, you know, he could be somebody that could really help out somewhere. TJPW, Maki Ito, FTW. Yeah, Maki Ito, man. Maki Ito to me is fucking phenomenal. I mean, she's having a great run on the indies. She's having tons of matches with a lot of the best guys. She had a match with Nick Gage. She teamed with Nick Gage, which is insane. She just had a match over the weekend with Speedball Bailey, Mike Bailey, who, in my opinion, I think is one of the best guys out there right now. Very unorthodox style. Really interesting performer, Canadian wrestler. And, you know, she's somebody that I think could really, you know, make a big splash in the States. You know, WWE would obviously be a good place for her. But, you know, she would have to obviously tone down a lot of her style and stuff like that. But I think she's been getting pretty good shine in GCW. For me personally, you know, I would like to see AEW fix a lot of their booking issues, a lot of their structural issues. I'd like to see Swerve Strickland at some point get the world title. I think that he's a guy, you know, who has the ability to be a world champion. Even though, you know, I wasn't necessarily a fan of him going at Marks Online. I think that's something that he shouldn't do, you know, in my opinion. I think that he should just continue to do his thing, you know what I'm saying? And just not focus on these people, because look, whether they're talking good or bad about you, they're talking about you. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day. You know, CM Punk's a prime example of that. You know, I would like to see CM Punk main event night 1 of WrestleMania with Seth Rollins in 2024. I think that would be something interesting. I'd like to see him get back together with Paul Heyman. I feel like if there's anybody out there in the business that can make Roman Reigns a face, it's CM Punk. You know, the guy has the ability to make people pay attention to him for better or worse. You know, but I certainly would like to see a lot more of the younger talent in NXT get a call up to the main roster, get a chance to shine. Tiffany Stratton, she's one of them.
Who would you like to see in the Hall of Fame this year?
Who would I like to see in the Hall of Fame this year? Bray Wyatt, I think, would be obviously one of them. I think it would be really nice for his family and for his fans. You know, I wasn't always the biggest Bray Wyatt fan, but I respect him. I respect what he contributed to the business. I think he was a very creative guy. He thought outside of the box a lot. But you know, I think it would be a really nice tribute for him. You know, Paul Heyman too. I think Paul Heyman, Jim Johnston. I know that name was getting floated around. I mean, shit. some of the greatest theme songs of all time. Fucking songs that we all.
What tag team would you like to see go in the Hall of Fame?
That's not already in there.
Yeah. I got one in my head that I keep saying it, but I know it's not going to happen this year.
What, Demolition?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big Demolition fan, bro, but I'm saying they deserve it.
You know what? I'm going to say the British Bulldogs. I think the British Bulldogs as a tag team are one of the most influential tag teams of all time.
But they're both dead.
And
sad.
Well, it is unfortunate.
You don't have two passed away people going into.
Well, but their children are still alive. Their children are still alive, and I think that, you know, Davey Boy got his due, and Davey Boy certainly deserved his due. Dynamite Kid, obviously a much more controversial figure today. Coincidentally, would have been the 65th birthday of Dynamite Kid. You know, and I feel like he's a guy who's very influential as well, particularly with a lot of the cruiserweight style wrestling. I mean, you look at all the guys in WCW in the late 90s that wrestled for the cruiserweight title. They were all very, very, very influenced by Dynamite and Tiger Mask. And I feel like inducting the British Bulldogs as a tag team would be something really, really cool to see. We just had another comment come up there, D. Joey Leonardo, Ace Wrestling owns Miss April, AJ Lee. Yeah. Ace Wrestling, man. Shout out to Mike Morgan, man. Shout out to Mike Morgan. You know, a guy who ran a territory over here in Union City for quite some time, had some great matches, pretty much helped April train to be a pro wrestler there along with Jay Lethal. I met April when she was, you know, basically just hanging out there and stuff like that, you know, getting ready to train to wrestle. And, you know, it's incredible to see what she's become. I'd like to see her come back to WWE at some point. I know Punk shouted her out on TV. Yeah. Sip Street, that's right. Represent, baby. Sip Street. Yeah, man. Right over there near the corner of Summit Avenue, man. You know, I used to go work out there all the time. And, you know, shout out to Mike Morgan. Mike Morgan, man, little known fact, when my house burned down, Mike Morgan and Ace Wrestling threw me a charity show to raise money, you know, for me, my mom, and some of the tenants of my building when my house burnt down back then. So, you know, that really meant a lot to me. And anytime I ever get to see Mike, you know, it's always good to chop it up with him. A guy that certainly contributed a lot to wrestling locally here. Mach, would you want to see AJ Lee get back in the ring one more time and have a match?
Get back in the ring, no. Come back to professional wrestling, yes.
Really?
I don't think. No, I don't believe her back. She's made it very clear she does have some injuries that she can't really perform well anymore. It would take a lot for her to do that. I think she had a stunt double for heels last season. So that, I think, is eye-opening right there. The fact that she's a professional wrestler and she needed a stunt double to perform moves for her. So I definitely want to see her back in professional wrestling because she's a great talker. So would I love to see her in some capacity go head-to-head with Becky Lynch in terms of promo battle if we're going to continue to have this Seth Rollins and CM Punk build? I think that would be great. Yeah. I think, you know, it's 4 great talkers, and I think that'd be good for professional wrestling. But in the ring, no, we don't need to see her in the ring. And if we have to see her in the ring, just give her the match she wants herself. Give her versus Bayley, and then wrap it up.
Interesting. Yeah, I was unaware of her status with her back, but I think throwing her into that Punk Rollins feud would certainly be, you know, an added layer there. I think, you know, she's another one very influential, man, you know, played her part in kind of getting women's wrestling to where it was, you know, when you used to have the Divas title and all that stuff, and then eventually getting them to drop that into, you know, just call it the women's title, you know, which is what it should have been. You know, obviously times were different back then, you know, and they did call it something different at that time. But she's certainly somebody that I think could, you know, contribute something to wrestling. I mean, we saw she got a pop just being mentioned. So, I mean, the fans definitely didn't forget about her. Here's one that I know is a little controversial. And I know it's going to get me some heat. I've been plugging it on the show. I've been saying it for a while now, but I want to see Cody finish the story, man. I want to see Cody beat Roman. I want to see Cody get the title, man. And maybe I might be in the minority here, but I really do want to see Cody get the title, man. He's been doing some phenomenal work lately. The Roman Reigns thing, it's lasted for a very, very long time. It's been successful. people can say whatever they want. They could say, "Oh, it sucks this. He doesn't defend the time." I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's a part of the presentation. It's a part of the character.
Mhm.
They make you hate him because he's a part-timer. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't Philadelphia the working man state?
I cannot
And
comment
he's
much
a
on.
common man, the working man.
I can't
their
comment.
football
much
team
on
didn't come to work on Sunday, so
Yeah, that's pretty darn true. There's still a lot of season left, though. I'm not gonna toot the horn too hard.
no.
But yeah, I mean, I would like to see it. I think that they've been telling a really great story for a long time. I know there's a lot of people that want to see him take on The Rock. I could understand that, but I mean, The Rock's gonna come in for one shot and then that's it. You're gonna put over Roman on The Rock. Okay, that's fine. You can hold that off to SummerSlam. You could do that some other time. We don't know what The Rock's schedule is like now that the strike is over and stuff like that. But I do want to see Cody finish the story. I think Cody's been doing a lot of great stuff. He's obviously going to be wrestling Nakamura next week. I think that's going to be a fantastic matchup. I want to see Cody finish the story in 2024. D, we had some comments up there as well. Joey Leonardo again. Something tells me around WrestleMania they will make AJ Lee some kind of Raw or SmackDown general manager. Could be a possibility. I know that they have
job once, right?
Nick Aldis on SmackDown, and they have former NWA World Champion Scrap Iron Adam Pearce on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they could perhaps make her an assistant of some kind. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I personally
it wouldn't be bad
think
if Nick Aldis became a full-time superstar and she took his job, though.
that would work. I think. I mean, look, he can still go. Scrap Iron. He hung it up a long time ago. He's not. He's not going to grace our TVs with his greatness. But Nick Aldis, he's certainly somebody that could come out and could wrestle and could do his thing. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they did that with AJ. I'd like to see AJ in NXT. I think AJ in NXT would be something interesting. It would be a drawing point for them.
Yes.
And well, just being, an on-screen character, and you have a lot of the young girls there that look up to her, Cora Jade,
manager or something like that,
Yeah,
Never really seen a female manager. Used to valets, but not a manager.
Yeah, it could be a possibility. Joey Leonardo with another comment there about Roman. I don't think they're going to let Roman lose until he passes Hogan's record. Well, that would be, I believe, in 2028, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No,
if he
2025.
2025. Okay, so Cody would technically, or whoever that would beat him for the title would technically have to do it at WrestleMania 41, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they able to sustain this? Are they able to keep this going that long?
I don't think he can, bro. He's going through fucking. He's got leukemia. He's recovering. I don't think
that's another thing. I think that fans don't really consider, as well. I mean,
that's not a work.
He does have leukemia. No,
life, bro.
No, it's a shoot. It's a shoot. We all know that. The fact that he's been able to still be around and do what he's doing is pretty respectable, man, and pretty impressive in its own right. I don't know. I mean, look, as per Billy Body, who really is the guy that, we get a lot of our news from here on the show, the most reliable guy out there, another, pretty divisive guy, some people don't like him.
Not a Conan fan.
Well, again, he's a divisive guy. He's polarizing for sure. But as far as wrestling news is concerned, he's certainly the most dependable guy. He was the one that was calling LA Knight taking on Roman at Crown Jewel. He was the one calling CM Punk coming back at Survivor Series. He's called pretty much a lot of the stuff that's happened in pro wrestling. And he is reporting that they do want Cody to beat Roman for the title at WrestleMania 40. Now, whether that happens or not, we don't know. Sometimes they do call audibles. Things do change. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think that they've been building Cody up for this spot, for this moment. And I would not be surprised if that ends up happening. So we'll see. Folks, we appreciate all the interaction. We got one more comment here. We're gonna wrap the show up pretty soon here. With all of Hogan's controversies, I think they just want him off the books, or at least further down the line. That's why I say that. Makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense there, Joey. Obviously, look at the Honky Tonk Man. Triple H was not a fan of the Honky Tonk Man. He killed his record. Gunther took over it and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to do the same thing with Hogan, although they have shown Hogan on TV a lot more, in recent years, after his incident. So I would not be surprised about that whatsoever. certainly would be interesting to see what happens in the next year or so. Did Mach take off?
Yeah, Mach said he had to go.
All right. Well, Mach, we appreciate you being on the show. All love to you, brother. And look forward to having you again on the show, next week's show. He's going to miss my huge announcement. So obviously we had promoted my big announcement on Instagram and stuff like that and what it's going to be. So I'm just going to make it as plain and simple as I can. 2024 is going to be my last year doing work in the marks. I've appreciated it for quite some time. I know I've talked to Dee about it for a while. And, I'm going to be stepping away from working the marks at some time in 2024, kind of ironing out a date, so to speak, when my last show will be. But 2024 will be my last year doing work in the marks, as I'm going to be pursuing some other ventures. It's been fantastic. It's been great working, with you guys from, as well as Fernando, who's not here, from where we started, on Blog Talk Radio, and doing it on the phone to now, working with Dee and doing the stuff on camera. I've enjoyed it 100%. I love the interaction. I love the discourse with the different viewers here. Love Famcast Media and the opportunity that they've given us. But 2024 is when I'm going to be calling time on doing these wrestling shows and stuff like that. So yeah, that is my huge announcement, folks. I'm stepping away from working the marks in 2024. But I appreciate all the stuff that we've done here. I love it. It's certainly been very, very rewarding. I know at first when Fernando approached me with the idea, I was kind of on the fence about it. And I'd like to thank Fernando as well for encouraging me to do this, for being a part of this. I'd like to thank Dee for encouraging us to step into the video realm and out of the phone, and to do it this way. It's been fantastic. And, I'm grateful for everybody that's checked out our show, that's listened to the comments and, has engaged with our videos. But, I do feel like it's time to step away and to perhaps, head in a different direction, so to speak. So, yeah, that's my huge announcement. I don't know if it's that huge, but it's,
and
it's
the
an
professor
announcement.
and the Macho aren't even here to hear it, bro.
They're not here to hear it, but that's all right. I'm sure they'll get the spoiler later on. And big thanks to Mach too for coming on and joining us and being a part of the program. I mean, Mach was doing his own thing for quite some time. I've watched him grow over time. He's fantastic at what he does. He's fantastic with Must Love Wrestling. I appreciate all the work that he's put in. I appreciate all the work that you've put in, Dee. Thank you.
I think we might have to. We'll be shifting over to MLW over there.
We might. But I'll tell you what. I'm definitely gonna make this a run to remember. It's gonna be my last run. It might be my only run. But it's gonna be fun. And obviously, I do want to step away and focus on some other things. One of them being, the child actors, working with my band. Obviously, my kids, they're getting older, they're getting bigger, and I want to dedicate myself to spending more time with my family and also other creative endeavors, so it's been fantastic. But we definitely still got a lot of time left before I finally decide to hang up the microphone in the headset.
It could be January 1st or it could be December 31st.
No. It's definitely not going to be soon. It's definitely not going to be soon.
It could be after the story, or it could be,
who knows? Who knows?
Glory,
Who knows? It might be for my 40th birthday. I don't know. But it's been fantastic doing this, and it's certainly one of the things that I've enjoyed doing. I never wanted to just do one thing for one particular period of time. I've always wanted to do a lot of other things in my life. This is one of them. And Dee, I got to thank you, man, for pulling me out to do this stuff, whether it was Hudson County Scum Talk, from the dungeon, any of the stuff that you've done.
They get big numbers in India. Hudson County Scum
We got big. Yo, I'm a star in India, bro. I'm a star in India. Who would have thunk it, right? Who would have thunk it? But we appreciate all the support. We appreciate the discourse. We appreciate, just the viewership here, man, and the chance to get to talk to people. I want to thank Joey. Want to thank Mad Dot to Kick. my brother from another mother, my musical brother, and everybody who's chimed in. Thanks for the viewership. Thanks for checking us out. And, thanks for the comments, man. And feel free to drop us a line anytime. Anything you feel like you want to see us talk about, drop it in the chat, man. Drop it on our socials. Drop it on Instagram. Drop it on Facebook. We're pretty much across everything, aren't we?
Yeah. The only thing I can think of in my head right now is 2024. Pat hits the door.
Pat hits the door. Look at that. I don't know. Maybe we could get some merch made, right? And then we could promote it as Patty Reekin's last show, Daddy Reekin's last show. So, yeah. Folks, that'll do it for us tonight. Again, thanks for, checking us out tonight. Thanks for dropping some comments. And obviously, we look forward to everything coming in 2024 and as well as the rest of the year. Check us out on social media. Check us out on Twitch. Check us out on a lot of different places. I think we're pretty much across everything, right, D?
We're on everything but your mother.
We're on everything but your mother. I got a joke before we go. What's the difference between a kidney bean and a chickpea?
I don't know.
I've never had a kidney bean on my face. So thanks very much for checking out tonight's show. We appreciate all the interactions with the people out there. Check us out on all the socials. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Twitch. However it is that you're watching us, we appreciate the support. And check out all the great shows on Famcast Media. Shout out to Macho Rodrigez, Much Love Wrestling. And shout out to Fernando Uribe as well, the Professor Fernando Uribe. You can check him out at the Fernando Zone. Shout out to Dee Rotten, the podcast king. He's gonna be coming with us. So with another episode probably of From the Dungeon. When are you guys recording that again? You guys recording later?
No, we're every Monday. And make sure you guys come around December 18th. We're gonna have Bill Wang from the Sinking Wang Show.
I totally want to watch that.
We're gonna have him on December 18th.
I've never seen a sinking Wang. Maybe my own sinking Wang, but I've never seen a sinking Wang, and that sounds amazing. Check out the Lucky 13 Saloon podcast, right? That's still going on?
We'll be coming back next year. We're taking a break for the holidays.
Nice.
And we'll be coming back in January.
Shout out to Jeff, man. Lucky 13 Saloon, one of the best places I've ever played. Always a great crowd there. Always a fun time there. The true metal bar of Brooklyn, New York.
Exactly.
So stop on in. He is Dee Rotten, and I am Daddy Reek, and I hate Walmart, and I love Target. And every week here on Famcast Media, we are working the marks. Take it easy, everybody. Keep on talking.
Deuces.
Famcast Media.